Welcome to PSL on the Mic, the City of Port St. Lucie's official podcast. We're here in the studio today with Acting Assistant Chief Marc DiMeo. That's a long title.
Yes, it's a mouthful.
We're so happy that you're here today with us.
Thank you. Thank you.
Can you tell us a little bit about your role in the department and how long you've been with the department, and maybe a brief overview of the department as a whole?
Yes, certainly. So currently, I am filling the role as an acting assistant chief over the neighborhood policing bureau. So that is essentially road patrol and the road patrol functions of the agency. I've been in that capacity for the past 4 months, and overall, I've been an acting assistant chief for just about a year. Been with the agency and with the city for 28 years. Starting,
oh, wow.
Yeah.
It's a long time.
I started as a civilian in our police service aid section, the little bubble when you first come in.
Okay.
I've held many ranks and many different positions throughout my time here. As a police officer, sergeant, lieutenant, I've been in special investigations, professional standards, district support. I was a school resource officer for many years as an officer.
So you've pretty much done everything, I say?
Yeah, just about. It seems like now, after 28 years, I can say that I've been just about everywhere in the agency. To touch a little bit about the agency's history, agency began in 1980 as a consequence of the city and the citizens' frustration with the code ordinance not being enforced by the county entity that was providing law enforcement services.
Okay.
City passed the police department, as I said, in 1980, and since that time we have been, our priority has been customer service and dedicating ourselves to the citizens to make sure that we fulfill the needs of the citizens. Over the years, and in the mid-90s, we became known for our community-oriented policing, which was a hot topic at that time, and we really embraced that and became really well known for that. And since that time, in the mid-2000s, 2010, 2012, we really embraced our crime reduction model of a stratified policing model, which has led to large percentages of decrease in crime, has led us to continue to be one of the safest communities in America, and we do get a lot of recognition for that. We have agencies come in and visit us and want to learn our ways because we do put a huge emphasis in accountability and customer service, and I think those are our two tenets, and it just has served us very well. So
that's amazing. Yeah, we have been, it's got to be for more than a decade now, we have been named the safest large city in Florida, correct? For at least 10 years.
Yes.
It's got to be. And then U.S. News and World Report ranked us, the city of Port St. Lucie, as the second safest in the country.
Yes.
Which is amazing. And these accolades, like you said, the accolades are great, but there's a main reason that I think we have a great connection with city staff, the department does, and with our residents. So why is maintaining that connection so important to keeping our entire community safe? That's what we're here to talk about, public safety.
Right,
So.
and so we have been very fortunate and blessed to have a great community and have a great relationship with our citizens and with our council, and that, by all, as you say, certainly leads to just a great relationship and have that. But I think, in essence, as we know, this community is growing, and the city is growing, and I think we're now about 239,000 is the number that we're using.
Yep.
Even at our max capacity, which this October 1st we're going to be budgeted for 317 officers.
How many did we start with?
The city started with 9 officers.
Wow, okay.
So obviously you can just see the huge growth that it's come to. It makes us one of the largest, or obviously one of the top police departments in the state. And for those reasons, obviously, even with the capacity of 317. Now that's 26 new positions that we're going to be budgeted for come October 1st, and that is the largest personnel request and approval in agency history. So that's just a huge testament to the council, to the administration, of this department to put and invest that type of resource into this agency. But even with that 317 number, with just the huge size of this city and the 239,000 people in it, we can't be everywhere. And to kind of go back and answer your question, why it's so important, it's that combined resource of working together with our citizens and having that great relationship where we entrust in them and they have that same trust in us to call us, to know that we will show up, treat them with respect, and handle the situation. It's what makes us so, so successful. Because again, we can't be everywhere, and we can't put resources everywhere all the time, but it is a combined effort of our stratified model, which incorporates data analysis, and the statistics show us where to deploy our resources, and knowing our citizens have the trust and value in us that they will call when they see something, when there are issues, when there are suspicious issues going around. That's what makes it so important to keep that relationship, and why it's so important to do things like this to get that word out, that call us if you need us and call us if you see something.
100%.
Yeah.
I want you to go into proactive policing for a little bit as opposed to reactive policing.
Yeah.
Talk a little bit about how that benefits our residents.
Well, we have a pretty much a standard philosophy in Road Patrol, which again I'm over right now, where we work 10-hour shifts. Our officers are out there for 10-hour shifts, and we're in a squad-based system where we have 4 or 5 officers and a sergeant. And right now we have 5 patrol districts that'll be starting going live on October 1st. We'll talk about that in a little bit.
Yeah.
And we have a shift lieutenant who oversees the overall needs of the shift. What's so important about deploying that way and deploying geographically is they take ownership over the area that they have assigned to work. We do a shift pick every 6 months that an officer can pick that area by seniority, and we really want them to have buy-in and ownership of what's going on in their geographical area. And so part of that is that idea of proactive patrolling. They're out there for 10 hours, and yes, on certain shifts, evening shift in different areas, it can be busy with calls for service. We saw over 95,000 calls for service in 2022, so it shows you the volume of calls that we get. But there are times where the officer is not on a call for service. We call that their uncommitted time. There's an expectation that during that uncommitted time that they are out there being proactive, and that's what we want to see. We want to make sure that during the uncommitted time, our officers are out there being proactive. And that can be in a variety of different things.
Yeah, I was going to say, explain what is exactly proactive.
Right. So if, based on our data and based on our model, there is what we would call a hot spot in a geographical area, and that could be 2 or more similar crimes committed in an area, we would deploy our resources, and the officers know it's their job to get into that area and patrol and look for any suspicious activity, conduct traffic stops, field interview cards, and they are to be deployed into those areas where any kind of crime is being committed. If there is no hotspot in their area, they are to enforce quality of life issues, and our number one complaint that we have is traffic. And so during that uncommitted time, it is our expectation that they are in their areas, their assigned areas, doing traffic enforcement. And that can look as a variety of different ways. It can be anything from warnings and education to citations and tickets. But the expectation is they are in their assigned areas during their uncommitted time doing traffic enforcement, quality of life, or addressing their assigned hotspots and patterns and bulletins.
That's a nice segue.
That's a lot there. I think we're done. All right, guys.
Yeah, let's go. Now we got a little bit more here. Speeding. You
Yes.
brought it up already. It's a hot topic.
Yes.
2 years ago, council passed an ordinance to lower the speed limit within certain neighborhoods.
Correct.
Then the neighborhood speed limit, I guess, went from 30 to 25.
To 25, correct.
Now, speeding is a concern for residents.
Yes.
You just said it. Elaborate on how it's just 5 miles per hour that it went down. How can that save a life?
Well, I think statistics have shown just that reduction in 5 miles an hour is that much less devastating to an impact, especially to a pedestrian or someone on a bike. Just that reduction in 5 miles could save a life as opposed to ending a life. And so that's why it's so important for that reduction. Overall, it does put the mindset of being under 30 down to in the 20s and 25. So a variety of different reasons for that, and I think statistics have shown, as I said, the impact of 25, and no pun intended, literally the impact mentally of saying we're going under 30 into 25, but also the real impact and the impact it would have on a collision on a person being less speed. So that's why it's so powerful to do that.
And I live in the South Bend area, and right now there's a speed monitor on Eagle, on one of the main areas of the South Bend area. Do you put those out there periodically if there are, like, maybe not complaints, but if you want to monitor a speed in a certain area?
Yes.
Okay.
We work obviously in partnership with Traffic Safety and Engineering, another department here within the city, obviously, and we work hand in hand with many of the departments within the city to help us with our traffic enforcement. Obviously, we'll look at the roads through engineering and public works and look at the actual construction to see if there is a reason why accidents are occurring or speeding on the road. And then, to your point, we can deploy for speed study to determine exactly what the speeds are and the volume of traffic on the roads.
Okay.
And, back to the point of it being our number one complaint, one of the things, obviously, that we make sure we do is there are all different ways of making those complaints. And I don't like to really call them complaints per se, but there's a lot of ways to get the police department to engage. And so we take a look at all of them. And now with the advent of so much technology, it has gone from just the simple way of calling 911. You can call the non-emergency number. Now people are activating law enforcement through apps on the phone and through technology, and now there are emails that they can do it. So all of those activations, as we call them, are in essence calls for service, and we do take those and we do prioritize them and handle them very seriously.
Good.
As we spoke about just the huge vastness of this city, knowing we have, 239,000 people within the city, and at some point when we're up to full capacity with the approval of the 26 spots as of October 1st, putting us to 317, it still seems a little out of whack with the numbers. That's why we deploy our resources where needed. So if the complaint comes in, we will deploy resources. And we have various different ways of enforcing our traffic strategies. And we have a traffic unit. We are increasing our traffic unit as part of this budget increase for this year.
Good.
We got 2 additional traffic officers. That'll put us up to 10 dedicated traffic officers, 2 sergeants, plus each individual officer, as I talked about earlier, with that buy-in is responsible for the activities in their area. So that'll be the zone officers also responsible for the traffic that goes on in their area. And, we do get, as we said, complaints from time to time, and some of the things I hear is, I don't see a police officer, how do I get resources? Just to reassure and to assure the citizens, we have estimated close to 50,000 citations per year. That's about 4,000 a month. That's tickets and warnings.
Okay.
It just shows just the huge number that we are out there enforcing. And it always doesn't have to end in a ticket, and obviously it's not something that we want to do, is ticket our citizens, but it is the number one complaint that we get, traffic. And so with a combination of education, with a combination of warnings and citations, we do go out and take those issues very seriously.
And I know on social media, Sergeant Delacroix, he's posting, not a lot, but he posts photos of people going over, 40 miles an hour over the speed limit, and especially in school zones, which is really concerning. So that's really great to hear that you do issue that many warnings and tickets. You talked about District 5.
Yes.
We're going to be getting more officers. There's an entire district, and that's in Tradition area.
Yeah,
More or less?
I would say more or less,
Yeah.
just for people to kind of get their heads around. As I said earlier, our agency has been broken up geographically, and that's how we deploy our resources. We're centrally located at a police department, and then we deploy out from there, and our officers go to their assigned patrol area. We currently had 4 patrol areas broken up throughout the city, starting out east and going 1, 2, 3, 4, all the way to out west, with District 2 being the middle of the city is generally where the police department is, and then District 3 and 4 moving to Gatlin, St. Lucie West. Obviously, it's come time to increase that, and we need, obviously, the resources for a District 5 for that whole Tradition area. Obviously, with the growth coming out there and the commercial businesses and the construction
Southern
going
Grove
out
area.
there, yeah, they need dedicated officers to patrol the construction sites, patrol the commercial locations, and conduct traffic and quality of life issues. So it's been a 5-year plan. We're coming up to the end of that, and this October, as we go into the new budget year for October 1st.
Which October 1st is Sunday, y'all. Sunday.
Right? And for our purposes, when we go into our next shift pick would be October 7th, the following week. I am very happy to report that we should be, and I don't want to say fully implemented because we're not there yet, but we do have all of our 4 zones active. We have day shift, midnight shift, and evening shift active in there. And I think out of the 24 spots that would be allotted for District 5, that would be 8 officers on days, 8 on evenings, 8 on midnights.
The 3 shifts, right.
The 3 shifts, so it's roughly 24 officers needed to staff a fully functioning district with 4 zones. On shift pick, October 7th, we should be at roughly about 20. So out of the 24 spots needed, we should have 20 filled, and that leaves roughly 4 more needing to be filled through the additional hiring, and that's great news that
That's
we're
awesome.
able to fill it. Now, obviously, with that, the support staff that needs to assist with that would be the detectives and support. That's all coming as part of this budget year, and the 6 sergeants who would be doing the supervising of those. So a little more work to be done. We're certainly not 100% up and active and ready to go, but we are very much looking forward to getting the additional zones covered and moving towards full implementation.
Right, and the important thing is we got those boots on the ground and or tires on the road too. That's the most important thing to start with at first. I have another question about the districts. Are they based on city council districts too?
We're kind of flipped and reversed.
Okay.
Our District 1 is out east by US 1.
Oh,
I think
and it's north for
right,
Councilwoman Morgan. Okay, yeah, that was just something I was thinking
so
about.
Ours starts east, west, so we go District 1, District 2 in the middle, District 3, 4, and 5 are out west.
Now, before District 5, did you just have to have people go out to that area?
Before
of their
District
officers?
5, it was a part of District 3, which was that Gatlin area.
Right.
Gatlin 95 area, and that was what Tradition still was under our map. It was still part of District 3. District 3 was just getting way too large, and obviously as we were adding more resources to District 3 to bump that district up, span of control came into question with 1 sergeant and so many officers, and just the vastness of that district really being able to go from Becker and the Turnpike all the way to Tradition, 95, it was getting, for response time, something we needed to make that break. So.
And the growth out there is just, it's growing. It's not going to stop, so that's great. So you kind of just partitioned it off to its own district. That's wonderful. I want to talk about specialized units, too. You say you're hiring 26 more officers. For anybody who wants to join Port St. Lucie Police Department, there are various different specialized units that they could be a part of, like you were saying for your introduction. Talk a little bit about a few of those, maybe, I don't want to say the most popular ones, but everyone loves the K-9 unit, stuff like that.
Right. Well, that is, it's obviously a huge part of where we are right now as an agency. Recruitment and our growth is just, it's front and center, and it's our top priority right now, keeping up with the growth, keeping up with the hiring, and making sure that we are hiring quality officers and we're getting the best. We have had a tradition here of hiring the best, this council, and, we have been supported, and we have made sure that we have top-of-the-line equipment from top-of-the-line vehicles. We are now switching to SUVs, where every officer gets an SUV.
Oh, that's great.
We have top-of-the-line, everyone gets a new gun, new belt, and I know that sounds kind of odd, but in other agencies, they're reusing
Sure.
and retreading. We have the outer vest, the polo shirts, the BDU pants for comfort. So a lot of good benefits, and probably top salary, top benefit in the area, if not pretty close to it. And so that's something that gets worked out in contract negotiations, but the city has always stepped up to make sure that we're right up there as far as cutting edge for equipment benefits and salary. But it's competitive, and
Yeah.
it's competitive all the way around. As we see nationally, they are in a recruiting effort throughout the country to recruit officers. And so for our purposes, we understand how competitive it is. We have put a lot of new ideas out there and innovation, from our cadet program and hiring people while they're in the academy program and while they're in the academy and bringing them on while they're still working. We also do a lot of recruiting from outside of the area, targeting areas like New York and areas that obviously we're seeing people leaving to come down. And it helps when obviously this state is offering signing bonuses and things like that. So recruitment is a big issue and a big effort and a big priority for the city. We have a dedicated supervisor over recruiting and a supervisor who runs the staff. We have civilian background investigators and sworn recruiters who go out there every day, and they work tirelessly. And I think we have made a commitment that we want to make sure we get quality. We're looking for the best officer, the person that has the right fit. I really consider it like a handshake agreement, a contract,
Yeah.
that we want to make sure we want that person, and we want to make sure that person wants to be here.
Right.
Because
Right fit.
Right fit, and that we're looking for a long career, and we're looking for someone who wants to plant their flag and say, this is my career. It's not just a job. So there's a lot that goes into it, but one of the selling points, obviously, and one of the main selling points that gets people in our door is the opportunity and growth.
Yeah.
I mean, we can talk about the traffic issue, we can talk about a lot of those things, but what gets people here is just that huge opportunity that they see. And they know that this agency is growing because the city's growing.
Yeah.
They know that there's opportunity, and there's opportunity in all of the specialized units. And so to get to that point, we have just a large array of opportunity for officers. We have our detectives who work multiple different types of crimes. We have our persons crimes, our property crimes. We have a major crimes section, economics and forensics. That's all on our criminal investigations side. And all of those areas have to grow as part of those 26 officers that we're getting, including District 5 and the support staff needed. Then you move on to our special investigations, which is gangs and narcotics, homeland security, behavioral threat. All of those areas are increasing as well. Then you move to our district support, which has traffic, school resource officer,
Parks, range, yeah. Yep.
just a lot of opportunity there, marine patrol, traffic, motorcycles, traffic homicide, a lot of opportunity there. We have our training officers. Then we have our ancillary assignments, which are regular officers who work road patrol or work any other assignment as their full-time job. But as an ancillary, we have SWAT team, we have field force team, we have crime scene investigators, we have our field training officers, and all of those work those as ancillary on top of their regular job. So there is opportunity, and all of those are growing. And so it is exciting when a new officer comes here and they hear all of those things.
Yeah.
And I guess I can't leave out the fan favorite of K-9, which everyone wants to come. And it's so funny and it's
Yeah.
exciting to see a brand new 19 or 20-year-old kid get sworn in. It's like a kid in a candy store. He wants to be a motor officer with
Yeah.
a K-9 and SWAT. It's like he wants a sidecar with the dog driving around and the motor car. It's great because really the sky's the limit here. And they
Yeah.
really can come here and envision they can be anything they want to be and do anything they want. And we really have that as a priority here. If you come here, you work hard, you do a good job, you make good cases, do good investigations, do good follow-up, really the sky is the limit for your career.
That's amazing. There are so many opportunities. So when an officer is hired, can they choose to be a K-9 officer? Can they choose to join SWAT? Is there a way, like a ladder rank or something with that?
Yeah, our department is much like most traditional agencies. You come here, you start out on road patrol.
Right.
The difference being is you're not waiting 5 years or 6 years or 7 years. And some of these agencies that don't have a lot of growth, you can wait a long time for an opening to come.
Meanwhile, you're hiring people when they're in the
Right.
academy.
And we're hiring someone who has 5 or 6 years experience
Already, yeah.
And when they come here, they may only wait 6 months. They only wait 5 months, and postings are coming up. And so to answer your question, yes, they can choose what they want to do. And what happens is, as we have growth and as we have need, we'll put a posting out internally, almost like an application
Sure.
process, and they can apply for any of those jobs, whether it's K-9, whether it's detective, whether it's traffic, honor guard, field training, and marine patrol. And you put in your application, you lay out your experience, your what you can bring to the table, and generally speaking, there's an interview process or a file where it's being reviewed, and then people are selected. We really, for promotional processes and for specialized unit, we put an emphasis on education and training, and that's something that really want the listeners to know. You have a command staff here in this police department that just about everyone has master's degrees, everyone has attended some type of leadership school. Our command staff, our sergeants, our lieutenants have a tremendous amount of leadership schools. We have the FBI LEADER program that we send our sergeants to. We put a tremendous emphasis in education, and our command staff all has masters. Our lieutenants have bachelors at least, and that is a huge emphasis that we
That's
focus
wonderful.
on.
That's great. It's all about the community. It's all about
Yep.
residents. All of this just adds to the fact that you're keeping our community safe. There's those community partnerships. What can residents do? Can residents join? Do you guys have organizations or groups or like the Citizens Police Academy
Yeah.
to help them work with you guys?
You know, one of the things that we often say, and it is so true, but aside from the 317 sworn officers, we have another about 100 support staff that are civilians. So we roughly have about 415, 417 total employees. But what's a force multiplier for us is our volunteer staff. Our volunteers are kind of the backbone of our department. They're our eyes and ears out there. They are so passionate about what they do, and they're dedicated. And we have about another 100 dedicated volunteers in all different capacities. We have a fantastic volunteer coordinator in Donna Hentz, and she runs that program. If anybody's interested in volunteering, you can reach out through her, and we'll certainly get that information out on who they can reach out to. As part of that, and really our introduction to that volunteer program, is that Citizen Police Academy, which really gives everybody just a great overview of each section of the police department. And at the end, they usually make a big sales pitch on who wants to stay on and volunteer. And people really decide where do they want to volunteer and where their passion is at.
Is that academy like, it's kind of like our City U, I want to say.
Very similar, right?
So it's like a couple weeks, 8 weeks or something?
Yep,
Okay.
and it's broken up into different sections, and
Okay.
they'll have a guest speaker.
Different
who comes in,
topics
different
every day.
Topic.
And it's free.
And it's very exciting. It's free, and
Yes.
people get just a great look at what the department is about, and that really excites people into staying and volunteering. And so, yeah, you talked about Citizen Academy. We have a lot of different ways for citizens to kind of reach out to us. One of the things we have upcoming on October 3rd, next week, is our National Night Out, and we're doing that here at the Police Department right out front, and we're going to have booths and guest speakers and events and displays with K-9 and different things. So that's really a great opportunity for the citizens to come out and meet your police department and interact, and if they want to, there'll be sign-ups for volunteers and for engagement. So.
Awesome, and that's an annual event that you guys
Yep.
hold too. I also want to let the listeners know that Acting Chief Del Toro has
Yes.
a newsletter too, and he talks about a ton of stuff in there, and you guys can sign up for that. I'll put all the links in the description, and if you want to learn any more about the police department, that'll all be available to you in the description. I'm going to do it again. Acting Assistant Chief DiMeo.
Yes.
Marc.
Yes.
Oh, I did it. I said I wasn't going to do it. Is there anything else? What did we miss? Is there something that you want our listeners to know most about the department and how you guys keep us safe every day?
One of the main priorities of the city is obviously in a tenant, the priority of clean, safe, and beautiful, and we stick to that as our main tenant, obviously, as a police department. We believe in customer service. We believe in working with our community. We're so thankful and appreciative of the citizens that we have. We are out there. We are working hard for them. We understand the growth, and we understand the issues that they're dealing with traffic and the congestion, and we are working. As you heard, we've grown our traffic, and we're in the process of adding additional traffic. And again, I would continue to push the recruitment issue. We are actively hiring, and if you're interested and you feel you want to sign up and be challenged and work for one of the best agencies in the state,
Yes,
and
sir.
certainly one of the safest communities in the country, please reach out. And looking for experienced officers as much as we're looking for new officers. And really the experienced officers is who we're trying to target from a sense of saying, if you're at another agency, if you feel like you're looking to make a change, especially those agencies up north or people who are looking to move down to Florida or come down anyways, this is certainly an agency really to take a deep look at and say, is this a place? Because I can tell you, this is a place that is looking for officers to make a commitment at. So we're very thankful for the support we have from the council and the citizens, and thank you very much. So.
Yeah, thank you so much for being here. I hope it's not your last time that you visit the podcast studio. I just wanted to plug a couple events too that I'm sure you're going to see tons of officers at. We have Oktoberfest coming up, October 7th. We have the Special Populations Dance, October 11th, and River Nights is coming back. I know that you have a few officers there all the time. That's October 12th, and we'll drop, again, all of those links in the description. Acting Assistant Chief DiMeo, thank you again. This
Thank
was
you.
a pleasure. It was the first time I met you.
Yes.
You did great on the podcast.
Oh, thank you so much.
You were awesome. Keep listening to us on Spotify, Apple, Google, cityofpsl.com/podcast. Tell us what you want to talk about. And until next time.